24th at 7. Come as you are. Watch What Every Baby Knows, weekday mornings at 8 and Sunday mornings at 10.
She is not at all what she appears. The seemingly carefree, bubble-headed, beach blonde image is a veneer. Suzanne Summers is much more.
Come and knock on our door.
Come and knock on our door.
We came to know her in 1977 as the ditzy sex kitten, Chrissy, on Three's Company.
Three's Company too.
The show was consistently a top 10 hit, and Suzanne Summers became a star. Though feminists berated her for playing a character who was all bod and no brains, Suzanne knew that it was her ticket to the top. Since then, she's had a bumpy ride with fame and fortune. Born Suzanne Mahoney in 1946, she is one of 4 children from an Irish Catholic family raised in suburban San Francisco. There was trouble at home. Her father drank heavily, and her mother struggled with him to protect their children from his rage. He is sober now, but Suzanne's 1988 best-selling book, Keeping Secrets, revealed the struggles of growing up as a child of an alcoholic. Her story became her cause.
If one person in the household is an alcoholic, everyone is affected. The affiliates of the Suzanne Summers Institute offer hope and help for children, adolescents, and adults. Please call now.
Suzanne left home early at age 17 to marry her high school sweetheart, Bruce Summers. They had a son, Bruce Jr., and were divorced soon after. She managed to finish college and support her son by modeling. And in 1968, she met her husband-to-be, Alan Hamill, when he was hosting a game show and she was a prize model. They were married in 1977 and have 3 children between them. Ironically, as art imitates life, she has been playing a similar role since 1991 in a television sitcom, Step by Step. She and Patrick Duffy unite their families in a Brady Bunch for the 1990s.
Great legs.
Why, thank you.
But she doesn't really have to act these days due to the phenomenal success of a simple exercise gadget called the Thigh Master, which has netted her millions.
After all, we may not have been born with great legs, but now it's even easier to look like we were.
Since 1976, she and Alan have lived in this Los Angeles beachfront home. It's comfortable, simple, and elegant. When we spoke in 1979, Suzanne was at the height of her success in Three's Company.
Oh, yeah, you run to the studio?
Yeah, I've got to go. I'm so late. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
I freely admit that my image of her was based on that show, and I was pleasantly surprised by her depth and honesty. What's the biggest misconception about you?
That I'm a dumb blonde. I mean, it's obvious, but it's simple. I mean, and that's a natural assumption to make about me, because they watch it every week and they see this girl who walks around like that, you know.
Do people treat you like that?
If they don't know me. People who don't know me think that I am Chrissy, and they talk to me, and they actually scoot down and they say, "How are you, Chrissy?" And I find myself going, "I'm fine," you know, and so I realized that, and I believe that people on television are who they are, you know.
When people call you an overnight success, do you laugh? Do you cry? Do you say if they only knew?
I'm laughing. Yeah, I was an overnight success in 10 years. Yes, that's it.
I understand, in reading about you, it said that you had done 9 failed pilots before Three's Company. Why was it so tough?
I don't know. I think it's timing, don't you? I did every kind of pilot, and I think it was just it wasn't the right vehicle at the right time.
I know you a little bit, so I can ask this question, you know, knowing that it's not insulting because it is not you.
Yes.
Okay. You play a little sexy, dumb blonde. Does it bother you that you do?
Did I play that character?
Yeah.
I think at the time I would have liked to have gotten a part as a bright, charming, articulate, witty lawyer, a doctor or something. I mean, that I was going through that great search for the human condition and who am I and all that at the time. And when you've been knocking on doors for 10 years and someone says, okay, I'll give you this part, and you play a dumb blonde, you're not about to say no. So I sat at home and I was thrilled that I finally got a series, and I thought, well, it's easy to get the men if you're a dumb blonde because you're cute and you sort of appeal to them, and they feel sort of protective. And but I thought, how do you get the women to like you? How do you make this character a likable one that won't offend women? And I made her a little girl. All I wanted to do was to make the character as likable, and what has happened is I love the character.
Do you think of yourself as sexy?
The
truth.
I wouldn't tell you anything but the truth.
Okay.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. I don't dwell upon it, but my first reaction to that was to say yes right away, and then I stopped to think, well, maybe that sounds like I'm being real egotistical or have an inflated vision of myself. Yeah, but yeah, my husband thinks I'm sexy, and I believe him. He's been telling me for a long time, so yes.
Let's talk about Alan.
Okay.
You and Alan, your now husband, lived together for quite a few years before you got married.
Yes.
Not why didn't you get married? Why did you get married? I mean, it was pretty good the way it was. You got married just about a year ago.
2 years
2
ago.
years ago.
Yeah. I found living together not a completely fulfilling. In fact, I found it quite frustrating because I felt, well, why aren't I good enough to be your wife? It affected my self-esteem terribly. We had some good times together, but I wanted to, I like being married. I always wanted to be married. I was raised to grow up, get married, have children, live happily ever after. That's where I come from.
Then why didn't you marry him earlier?
He didn't want to. He was not ready to get married until he got married, and Alan is quite a strong man, and I think I would have married Alan the day I met him. I met him on the anniversary game. It's a game show, and I was a prize model, and he was the host. And I think it was love at first sight. My heart went a ding-a-ding-ding, and he asked me to get a cup of coffee, and I just couldn't wait to go get him a cup of coffee. Right now, I'd say, go get your own coffee. But I was crazy about him. I've never met anybody that I was that crazy about instantly, and it never subsided.
Do you worry about growing old?
Oh, I don't know. I had a feeling you would ask me that question.
You see, I don't, because I've never been, you know, I was about to say I've never been young and beautiful, but, you know, my career was not, my career was not built on that.
Yes.
You know, so another year, 2, 5, what difference does it make?
Well, see, that's the problem with being locked into that sex symbol thing, because there are no 70-year-old sex symbols, and I want longevity. I want to be around for a long time. So I would like not to have the emphasis be on the looks and the physical. I really would rather the emphasis be on, gee, she's a great comedian, or she's whatever the label would be. All I know is the older I get, the more I understand. And the more I understand, the happier and the more contented I feel. And what is that? Wisdom? I don't know. They say, I guess it is, with each year you get an additional layer of wisdom, and I'm enjoying that so much. I'm enjoying feeling good about myself and not, I used to be a model, and I was terribly insecure when I was a model. And I would sit in the room with these perfect gazelles with the bones and the long body and I mean, they did and by the time I'd go in for the interview, I would have sunk so low that I would walk in and whether I was right for the job or not, I would never have gotten it because I exuded no confidence walking in. Self-esteem is quite important.
If somebody didn't know you and said, oh, you know, what is she like? Tell us about Suzanne Somers. What would you say? Well, she's...
It is important to me to be a complete and full, total woman. And a woman, it's important to me that I'm a good cook, and that I can entertain, and that I can do my job well, and that I can make a nice home, and that I'm a good mother, and that I'm a good wife. And all those things are very important to me. I'm my mother's daughter. I want to be everything my mother wanted me to be.
Next, Suzanne Summers on parenting and poetry.
Between us, OB has everything but an applicator.
A woman gynecologist designed it so it doesn't need one.
I need one.
Now OB gives you a choice. New OB applicator or applicator free. A woman gynecologist designed OB to expand all around, help you feel free from leakage.
Between us, a woman knows what a woman needs.
New OB with an applicator or without. OB, worry-free.
I used to be able to feel the winter in my skin till April or May. For my skin, winter feels like forever.
Oil of Olay 2-in-1 moisturizing body wash.
But after just one shower, all I could feel all over was moisture.
With 75% moisturizer, it puts more moisture in skin than any leading beauty bar or shower gel.
This could actually be my first winter without dry skin.
The 2-in-1 moisturizing body wash from Oil of Olay.
Life without body lotion is a definite possibility.
Here come the Eureka Bravo 2s, new Boss Plus 12 amp, and our bestseller, the Boss 9.5 amp, both with tools on board for above-floor cleaning. Bravo 2, easy on your wallet, tough on dirt. From Eureka.
Everyone hopes their financial future will be smooth sailing. What you need is MetLife. We know the hazards and offer financial information and sound advice to help you rise above them. We'll help you make sense of it all. Get Met. It pays.
There's a rare edition hitting the streets, rich in added features, and available at a price that's very good news. The Accord Special Edition. A car this uncommon is definitely front-page stuff.
They may never tell you, but people who have hemorrhoid symptoms use Preparation H more than all other name brands combined. It helps relieve all these symptoms, and it's formulated to reduce swelling. More people trust doctor-recommended Preparation H.
Lifetime's got one more reason to get up in the morning.
You wake up and it's a fresh new day.
Fitness expert Denise Austin's daily workout is back-to-back with the everyday workout. Now you've got a whole hour to tone your abs, trim your waist, and thin your thighs.
Good job.
So get in shape with Lifetime.
Get up on your feet and exercise along.
Weekday mornings starting at 7, only on Lifetime, television for women.
Kids these days. Weekday mornings at 8:30 and Sunday mornings at 10:30.
In 1978, just a year ago, you posed nude for one of these type magazines.
Wrong.
I don't know. Is it? Why would you do it?
It wasn't 1960. It was
1978 is what I read.
It was 1968.
In the magazine, it says 1978.
Oh, well, you can't believe anything.
So it was 10 years ago, right?
Yeah.
Because
you got
just
it.
I don't even want to show it because it's a pretty, I don't know, raunchy magazine.
Yes.
And there in it, now, currently, are nude pictures of you. Do you know it? Have you seen it? Well, can't show them to the camera, which will be the... And it talked about how they had photographed you originally in 1978, and here you are again. You know, and I looked at it and I thought, why'd you do that? So why did you do it?
Hey, they paid me $400.
And in 1968, you needed
I'll
the
tell
$400.
you. First, let me see.
That's very nice. Okay.
Oh, skinny dipping with Suzanne Summers. What wonderful publication. Yeah, I know that. Yes. Oh, that pain, it's painful.
This is all done without your knowledge, this whole
Do you think I would encourage that?
And they can do that. They can take these old pictures and just print them again.
I presume it's public domain. It's not worth it to me to go after in terms of suits because I'll bring more attention to it. I hated doing that. I hated doing that with such a passion. I feel it right now. I just feel all that. But
when I saw the magazine, I felt it for you because I thought, well, you know, and especially because it said that you had done this in 1978, a year ago.
I would never.
Why?
Right.
You know.
At least it was 10 years ago. I look pretty good.
You look very good, yeah. You haven't changed.
But you know, I'll capsulize my life at that time. I had a baby when I was 17. I divorced my husband when I was 18. I did not finish college. I didn't know how to make a living. I just knew I didn't want to be a waitress. And everything I went to get, I was not qualified for. I could type a little. I could take great shorthand, but I couldn't read the shorthand back. So, you know, I mean, I was really in a spot. And we were hungry. I mean, it came down to the basics of life: food, shelter, and clothing. And I remember at the time, they'd offered me $400 to do that. And my rent was $175 a month at the time. And I was 3 months behind. So I thought, at least I'll then only be about another $150 short, and I'll go over there, no one will ever see it, and of course, who knows me? And I remember going into the room, and oh, it was awful. I walked in, and I thought, you just have to be up and open about this, and I walked and I said, good morning, and I went in, I said, where would you like to do this? And they said, right over there, and I just went in and took off my shirt and stood there and smiled the biggest smiles I could smile, because if I didn't, I think it was painful. I'm quite moral. I went to Catholic schools. The idea of my mother seeing this, who has seen it, by the way, in the past couple of years, because it's come out 2 or 3 times, it was painful. And she called me and she said, I just want you to know I saw it. It's okay. It's, you know, you don't have to feel bad, because I think she realized how awful I would feel. I feel awful about that. My son has seen that. I feel awful about that, but we've talked about it, and he knows what was going on at the time. It came down to either being thrown out. Now, if I think about it, I probably could have gone to my family, and I probably could have gone to my family and said, I am in such terrible financial straits. I could use $100. I could use $200, whatever you could loan me. But because I got married too young, and because I felt I brought great shame on my family, who were very staunch Catholics, by being pregnant and having to get married. See, I told you before you even asked me.
But you know, I knew that, and I wonder, I just want to say about the magazine, when I saw it, I felt very protective. I had to think about whether I would even bring it up, except it was the 1978 date that got to me.
I don't blame you. I would have
thought,
too.
you know,
if I saw one of you last year, I would be holding it up right here.
They never asked me.
I bet Playboy would pay you $1 million.
You know, I was offered $1 million by a magazine, a different one, to do that. But
you were?
Oh yeah, but they took a list of, they took a list of the most unlikely. Oh, that's not sound terrible. What they thought were Gloria Steinem, me, Julie Eisenhower, Jackie Onassis. Needless to say, none of us did it. But anyway, I got off of wherever I was. But in speaking about your child,
yeah.
I knew that you were pregnant before you got married.
Yes.
You didn't have to bring it up today.
I'm not ashamed of it now. I was terribly ashamed of it then. I'm not ashamed of it now. I have the most fantastic son. All I ever hear are wonderful things about him. What a fine boy. And I'm always getting letters from school of what a joy he is. And I feel that out of a negative situation came such a positive, that the two of us grew up together.
You have a poem.
Yeah.
I liked your poems.
Oh, thank you.
And one of them is about your feeling of not wanting this baby,
right.
and not wanting this little boy. And I'm sure that there must be young women who relate to you who have the kid's too young.
Well, that is another reason why I mentioned that, because it's such an awesome responsibility to be a little girl yourself and to be expecting a small child. And
And not feeling that maternal feeling that you
And you don't. You feel, I'm having a baby, but I don't want it. I don't want to have this baby. I don't think anybody at 16, 17 years old is really thrilled to find out that they're going to have a child. And that's probably a subconscious reason why I bring it up, that maybe the situation is negative now, but for me it's turned out to be a complete plus. I'm still very young, and I have a son who's grown up, who I'm proud of, who makes me look good because he's so terrific.
When did it change?
Well, I think that is the miracle of birth. I remember when they pulled his body from my body and they laid him on my chest, that I felt my first, I loved him. I loved him that moment that I just held on to him, and I thought, well, we're in this together. And that's the miracle of birth.
Could you find the poem? Because I know we put the poetry book there. That says it better than all my questions could, I think.
I think we have a paper clip.
Yeah, we put one there in case I hope that you would talk about him and read it.
This is called Sometimes I See My Son. Sometimes I see my son. Oh, I'm a little emotional. Wait. Okay. I don't know if I can read it right this minute.
Okay. Put it away. We'll talk about it.
Well, I think I can. I think I can. I want to. I love this poem. Sometimes I see my son and remember when I thought I'd failed. Because so many told me a mother who bore a boy should not send away his father. Sometimes I see my son and remember, no, I can't do it right now.
I don't think you could have said anything more about him in the way you feel now.
Yeah. Isn't that weird? Happens every time. I really would like to read this. Let me try it once more because it's quite special to me. Okay, I'm better now. Sometimes I see my son and remember when I thought I'd failed because so many told me a mother who bore a boy should not send away his father. Sometimes I see my son and remember the pain of unloved pregnancy and the resentment I sometimes felt at raising him alone when I could not have the freedom I deserved. There are days I was as much a child as he, when I wanted someone to give me the love I gave so grudgingly to him. Days that we learned together about life and had as many questions. Sometimes I see my son and wish his mother had it all together to give him strength and courage I only sometimes have, to listen when my own hurts need hearing, to hold him even though I am alone. But sometimes I see my son with a trust in his eyes that no one else could give, with a smiling, shining little face that says there was no failure, no monstrous mistakes, only good things and memories of love and caring. Sometimes I see my son and he touches me in secret corners, and I know that everything is fine and always will be. Sometimes I see my son and I love him. It wasn't so hard.
In 1988, Suzanne Summers wrote a book about her father's alcoholism. Her heartfelt story has helped many come to grips with their own experiences and helped them piece together their own broken lives. I've always admired her honesty on that day many years ago. In a moment, my interview with Mel Gibson. They were married in 1977 and have 3 children between them. Ironically, as art imitates life, she has been playing a similar role since 1991 in a television sitcom, Step by Step. She and Patrick Duffy unite their families in a Brady Bunch for the 1990s.
Great legs.
Why, thank you.
But she doesn't really have to act these days due to the phenomenal success of a simple exercise gadget called the Thigh Master, which has netted her millions.
After all, we may not have been born with great legs, but now it's even easier to look like we were.
Since 1976, she and Alan hit, and Suzanne Summers became a star. Though feminists berated her for playing a character who was all barred and no brains, Suzanne knew that it was her ticket to the top. Since then, she's had a bumpy ride with fame and fortune. Born Suzanne Mahoney in 1946, she is one of 4 children from an Irish Catholic family raised in suburban San Francisco. There was trouble at home. Her father drank heavily, and her mother struggled with him to protect their children from his rage. He is sober now, but Suzanne's 1988 best-selling book, Keeping Secrets, revealed the struggles of growing up and have lived in this Los Angeles beachfront home. It's comfortable, simple, and elegant. When we spoke in 1979, Suzanne was at the height of her success in Three's Company.
Oh, yeah, you run to the studio?
Yeah, I've got to go. I'm so late. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
I freely admit that my image of her was based on that show, and I was pleasantly surprised by her depth and honesty.
What's the biggest misconception about you?
That I'm a dumb blonde. I mean, it's obvious, but it's simple. And that's a natural assumption to make about me, because they watch it every week and they see this girl who...
4th at 7. Come as you are. Watch What Every Baby Knows, weekday mornings at 8 and Sunday mornings at 10.
She is not at all what she appears. The seemingly carefree, bubble-headed, beach blonde image is a veneer. Suzanne Somers is much more.
Come and knock on our door.
Come and knock on our door.
We came to know her in 1977 as the ditzy sex kitten, Chrissy, on Three's Company.
Three's Company too.
The show was consistently a top 10 hit as a child of an alcoholic. Her story became her cause.
If one person in the household is an alcoholic, everyone is affected. The affiliates of the Suzanne Somers Institute offer hope and help for children, adolescents, and adults. Please call now.
Suzanne left home early at age 17 to marry her high school sweetheart, Bruce Somers. They had a son, Bruce Jr., and were divorced soon after. She managed to finish college and support her son by modeling. And in 1968, she met her husband-to-be, Alan Hamill, when he was hosting a game show and she was a prize model.